Want to get this briefing by email? Here's the sign up. Good morning. Here's what you need to know. Hurricane heads for Texas. Harvey strengthened overnight and is expected to intensify before making landfall near Corpus Christi early Saturday, the National Weather Service warned. Follow our latest updates, and check the storm's projected path. The governors of Texas and Louisiana have declared emergencies, and evacuations are underway in some areas. The hurricane could result in the first major natural disaster the Trump administration faces. Designed to avoid detection. Naval vessels, which are hard to see and track electronically, have long posed challenges to nighttime navigation. That has proved deadly recently in crowded waters near Singapore and Tokyo. We have new details about the 10 sailors presumed to have died when a U.S. destroyer collided with an oil tanker on Monday, fencing himself in with a wall. President Trump's threat to shut down the federal government if Congress doesn't fund a border wall with Mexico is a gift to Democrats and adds pressure on Republicans, our chief Washington correspondent writes. One of our White House reporters also explains how John Kelly, the new chief of staff, is trying to control the flow of information to the president. The Daily, your audio news report. In today's show, we discuss the conflict between President Trump and Senator Jeff Flake, Republican of Arizona. Listen on a computer, an iOS device or an Android device. The heir to the Samsung business empire was convicted of bribery and embezzlement today. Lee Jae-yong was sentenced in South Korea to 5 years in prison, a break with a history of light penalties for major business figures. President Trump must soon decide whether to renominate Janet Yellen, the chairwoman of the Federal Reserve, or pick someone more worried about inflation. The question at the central bank's annual policy conference beginning today is how quickly the Fed will raise interest rates. Coding boot camps offer a chance to join the digital economy. But as some close, the schools face a reality check. U.S. stocks were down on Thursday. Here's a snapshot of global markets. Tips, both new and old, for a more fulfilling life. Protect your digital accounts by text or app. Investing in stocks? Ask yourself these questions. Recipe of the day: make your own blueberry jam. Prince of Broadway. In today's 360 video, visit the Samuel J. Friedman Theater in New York, which is staging a retrospective of the life of the director and producer Harold Prince. One of our theater critics reviewed the musical, which opened Thursday night. Partisan writing you shouldn't miss. Writers from across the political spectrum discuss the increasingly contentious relationship between President Trump and Republican congressional leaders. A $480.5 million winner. Mavis Wankazike, a 53-year-old healthcare worker in Chicopee, Massachusetts, took a lump sum payment after winning the largest single lottery prize in North American history. And, yes, she immediately quit her job. A $4 billion marvel. The new Tappan Zee is set to open early Saturday, the first bridge of such scale in the New York area since 1964. Ready for the weekend. Could you pick one film that embodies New York City? Our movie critics, and the mayor's office, would like you to try. You can stream thousands of movies using a library card. Here's how. Speaking of libraries, our book review writers recommend 10 new titles and talk to the mystery writer Louise Penny about her reading habits. On TV, David Simon and George Pelecanos, of The Wire fame, discuss their coming series, The Deuce, about the sleaze of 1970s Times Square. We also review The Tick, Amazon's take on the cult favorite comics character. Later today, our critics will round up reaction to the release of Taylor Swift's new single. Finally, Saturday is the highly anticipated fight between Floyd Mayweather Jr. And Conor McGregor, the mixed martial arts champion, boxing in his first professional match. Doctors fear it's a dangerous mismatch. Best of late-night TV. Trevor Noah discussed the many sides of President Trump. Quotation of the day: when you turn the management over to the tree huggers, the bird and bunny lovers and the rock lickers, you turn your heritage over. Mike Knoll, a Republican state representative in Utah who wants the federal government to reduce the size of Bears Ears National Monument. It all began with a question about L. Frank Baum's off-the-cuff story about a faraway magical land. What, a child asked, was the name of this extraordinary place? Baum looked at a filing cabinet label, rejected AG and went with OZ. That's one origin story of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, the children's book that became a celebrated movie, which opened in wide release in the U.S. on this day in 1939. It took more than a few screenwriters, 11 by one count, to adapt Baum's vision into a girls'